Hello, hello. We are live on YouTube. Oh my goodness, I've never done this before. The Facebook interface was just driving me crazy. So welcome to YouTube. So we are actually moving over here to YouTube. So I'm going to do a little plug before I start. So we really want to build this channel up. So please subscribe and like this video. I literally am already starting to sound like YouTube. I've never used YouTube. So we do want to build this channel up. So please like and subscribe. So I'm in my new office and we're figuring out all the lighting. It's really funky, but we're just going to go for it. So we'll see how many people come on live today. Hopefully people will know that I'm not going to be on live on Facebook and come over here. All right. So, but today we're going to be talking about conspiracy theory and spiritual warrior. Now, my husband was like, why would you want to talk about conspiracy theories? And here's why I want to talk about it and how it relates to spiritual warrior. One, it's out in the cosmos right now. I can see your comments. Janet and Barbara, this is so fun. It's already so much easier than Facebook. Okay, so let's talk about it. So why I want to talk about this is because it's out there anyway. You're a conspiracy theorist, you're not a conspiracy theorist, you're not like that. But let's talk about the history of it really fast. This is my limited knowledge. And if I get parts of it wrong and you know more about the history of this, please put it in the chat because I don't know too much. I know very little, and I'm going to share what I do know. So what I do know is that the term conspiracy theory, I believe it was either the 50s or the 60s, was created, apparently, this is the story, by the CIA. Now, this is because people started to kind of figure out some of the lies of the government. There's a lot of stuff that we have no idea what is happening, nor do they want us to know what is happening. And some people were starting to ask questions and kind of poke holes in some of the stories and some of the narratives and things that were being broadcast to people through the media. And so the story goes was that the CIA created this term called conspiracy theorists, that anyone who questioned anything was crazy. Like tinfoil, that like tinfoil hat. Like if you question anything, you're a nut job. If you don't fall in line, you're crazy. So that was my understanding, the birth of conspiracy theory, and it took off like wildfire. So people started backing up and saying, well, I don't want to question the narrative because I don't want to be seen as crazy, right? Now let's cut to today. That term is really back. I remember like 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I don't remember it as much. Plus I was young in the 70s, but it felt more calm in the world than it does right now. Everything is back up, right? Everything is stirred up in the world. And the reason I wanted to talk about it today was not so much about what's a conspiracy theory and what's not, meaning like, I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm not here to go over all that. What I want to talk about is the nature of truth. The nature of truth and how the birth of the term conspiracy theory was simply born because people started questioning what was true, what was real. And even today, if people start questioning it, sometimes in some circles, you are known as a crazy conspiracy theorist. Now, is that accurate? I don't know. But if we are here as spiritual warriors, and if you're watching me and you're watching this channel, one of the characteristics of a spiritual warrior is to seek out truth at all costs. Meaning standing in truth, your own personal truth, the truth that you have like in your reality, and the truth of the world, the truth of what's going on. Now, none of us really know what's going on, except for how we feel intuitively and what we are told in the research we do on the internet or on the media. But you are very intuitive, and sometimes we just feel like things are not right. And when someone questions you, and let's say you're tuning into something that just doesn't feel right to you, and it's a narrative, it's a story that is out there in the media, in the world, and it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. But you're afraid to come forward with it because, or to say something, or not align because you're going to be labeled as crazy, or that's not true. So this happened actually to me a lot over COVID. I'm not going to get into it, but I had some like into the politics of it, but I felt into things that just didn't feel right to me. They just didn't align with me. I don't watch the news. In fact, I stay far away from it because I don't want that programming in me. And I know that there are things that if there are things going on in the world that I need to know about, I will find out about it. The shootings, the things like that, things that I need to know that God wants me to know, I will find out about. So I don't go on the news. But there were things that I was not personally aligned with. And it was a witch hunt from a lot of the people and friends that I had in San Francisco. It was like full on, you're insane, you're a hippie, whatever. But I stood in my truth. And I didn't take on the word conspiracy theorist because I don't care that much if it's conspiracy theory or if it's not. What I care about is what feels good to me intuitively, what I feel aligned with. And that comes down to anything. Let's say you go to the doctor. And I was a psychology major in college, and we learned about all of these studies and these studies where people in lab coats would come up to people. It was like a whole study, and like if the person was wearing a lab coat, that people would do whatever they said and go as far as like hurting other people when they even intuitively knew that it was wrong. There's this one study where there's a man in a lab coat. You've got one man in one room and one person in the other room, and the doctor, the person in the lab coat, is telling. There's one person. There's like this dial, and it's saying like, we're going to be doing this treatment, and I need your help. I forget the exact, and the fake doctor, was telling the person to keep turning the dial up, and the person in the next room was screaming. It's fake, but the people in the test and the study didn't know it was fake. But he's like, more, and intuitively, the people in the seat kept saying, I don't know if this is right. I don't know if this is right. I'm hurting this person. But the fake doctor said, no, keep going. This is all for medicine. This is all for their own good. And then when they interviewed them after and said, why did you keep going? Why did you hurt them when you knew intuitively that it was wrong? They're like, because you told me to. You're a doctor. You're a fake doctor, but you're a doctor. You told me to. We have been trained by authority figures, the media, our teachers, doctors, that if they're in a lab coat or if they're in a place of authority, we blindly trust them. And as spiritual warriors, it's not about being paranoid, and it's not about not trusting. It's about questioning. It's about finding out, well, how does it feel in your body? What is your truth? What is your truth? And then here's the real thing, is like having the courage to stand in your truth and follow through with it and not fear judgment. And that's another thing in that study. He was afraid. He was afraid the doctor would get mad at him. He was afraid to say no. He was afraid to stand up. And this happens all the time. Like, people are given medical treatments, and part of them is like, I don't know, this doesn't feel right, but the doctor's telling me to do it. So they go ahead and do it. And we know intuitively what's right for us and what's not right for us. So it's about truth. So I'm not so interested in like conspiracy theory. I think that's interesting the way that it was born, that when people started to question the truth of the government, oh, let's create this whole term so people, we can create a conspiracy theory and label them crazy. So no one will listen to them. That's a psyop. That's gaslighting. That's gaslighting. And it's happening all the time. Like we're being gaslit all the time. And you will know intuitively how it feels, and in having the courage to stand up for it and to stand up for it and follow through. And this is the test of a true spiritual warrior, is to really stop and listen, really tap into what your truth is, whatever it is, whether it's something that's going on in the world, whether it's something that's going on in your family, whether it's something to do with your own medical journey, your health journey. Stand and feel into it. Find out what feels good to you and what feels right for you, and have the courage to stand in it. And if there is something that, and people are labeling you a conspiracy theorist, and you're just feeling like, intuitively, I'm just not aligned. Right? This is all programming. And if we start to really peel away and look at the history of these things, we will start to see the truth. We will start to see the truth and be able to stand in it. So I'll say this, I'll leave on this. The Truman Show, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. Most people have seen it. It's so good. It's about a man who grew up in a fake world. And he didn't know it was a fake world. It was all manufactured. And the entire world, his life was broadcast 24 hours a day on TV. So everything he did was broadcast, and everything in his environment was manipulated and fake. And he was terrified of the water. They lived on this fake island. It was actually a studio, but they had programmed him to be afraid of the water, so he would never want to leave the island. So there was like this whole fake thing where his dad died and things like that in the water. That if you watch the show and you watch it through, like, not through entertainment, but through interesting. I wonder what's going on in our world through how the media has trained us in a lot of ways. It's really, really fascinating. Like he goes to the, what is it called? The travel agent, and he wants to go book a flight out of there. And everywhere he looks on the wall is like all this marketing of why it's dangerous to fly. So it gets in his head, wait, is it safe to fly? Am I supposed to do that? Even though his heart wants to leave. And when you start to pay attention, really pay attention to the marketing out there in commercials, all of it, it's fascinating. It's like, what are they wanting us to believe? What is our truth? What's being pumped into us? And we are all on our phones all of the time. And so just being mindful and being careful and really going into what is your truth, conspiracy theory or not. And here's what I'll end on. If you are feeling that there is some truth in the world, truth in yourself, truth in your environment, come to terms with it on your own. Here's where both sides kind of get it wrong, is everyone wanting to be right. Everyone is wanting to be right. I think the thing just lost connection. So not getting on your soapbox, because that doesn't land and that doesn't work. It turns people off. Find out your truth, stand in it, own it, but don't preach about it or try to be right about it. Whatever it is. And listen to your intuition. Follow it, because we are being led back more and more and more to who we are authentically. Not what we were trained to be. Not what we were trained to be. And this takes courage, and this is the path of the spiritual warrior. And your truth may be very different from mine, and that's okay too. we could both be standing here in this room together, and you could have a very different view of the world, and you probably do, than me. And they're both fine. As long as you are in your truth, and as long as I am in my truth, that's all that matters. Okay, my name is Beth Osmer. And if you are been following me on Facebook, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are really trying to, our intention is to build this channel up. So subscribe, and I will be coming on here live every Tuesday as opposed to Facebook, 8:30 a.m. live. And we have a different topic every Tuesday morning. So stay tuned for that. And then I'm also putting myself on a stretch, which means like something to do extra every day. And I'll be coming on here live every day for the next 2 weeks, just to start adding more momentum to the channel, and I can get used to being here on YouTube. All right, have an amazing day, and thank you so much for showing up today. Thank you for seeing all your comments. Courage to be who you are. That's right. That's right. Not blind faith just because someone has a lab coat on or as an authority. We're not there anymore. No. Okay.